So, part 5. And I'm going to go straight from part 4. Part 4. As I said, I took drugs to numb myself. And I flatlined with a drug overdose when I was 17, 18 years old. And that was hectic. I walked around like a zombie for a week. I've been picked on my whole life. I was scared. Okay, I was always picked on. And I was rejected by my dad. I got my hip punched at school every day. Left school when I was 13 years old. And I sat in the bush for 6 months. I took drugs to numb myself. I watched half my mates die on heroin, 3 died in my arms. And I flatlined myself at 18 years old. I took a drug overdose. And I walked around like a zombie for a week. And as I explained very carefully about the dark shadow, the boogeyman, the monster in the bed. When people take drugs, they often get paranoid with truth serums. Right, with truth serums, they open up their perception with their 27 senses, and they can think dimensionally. And what do they see when they're on drugs? Okay, when they get paranoid, what do they often see? Oh man, look, there's people chasing me, man. Can't you see all those people chasing me? They're out there, they're chasing me everywhere, man. They're sitting out there behind the fence there. Can't you see them? Can't you see them, man? And then they're looking through the window for the next 2 hours, right? And they can see something. Right? They can see something. This happens to people who get paranoid all the time. Right? Man, honestly, you see this with hundreds of people in the drug world, right? They get paranoid like this and see shadows, and you hear it constantly. Now, what you realize is when they think dimensionally like this, those shadows out there from another dimension field, they can see that you can see them. And no one can ever see them. You know when you walk down a dark alley and you get like a shiver in your spine, you turn around, there's nothing there. But you can feel it. Just like the boogeyman, the monster bed, you can feel it, but the imagination runs more. Exactly the same adverse effect. You know, sometimes you walk into a threshold in a brand new place and you have a bad gut feeling and you just walk straight out again. You follow your instincts and you get out. Something demonic's in there and you don't know what it is, but you can feel it. Sometimes you can walk into a pub and it's got a perfect atmosphere. Everyone's smiling and the perfect atmosphere. Sometimes you walk in there and it's just creepy, man, and it feels really bad and you get the fuck out straight away. And you follow your feelings, right? Because you feel it's not a good place to be in. Someone's in there that's very evil, projecting that through the atmosphere with a placebo effect that affects you in a heartbeat with adrenaline, just like a child. Just like a child when a stranger comes to the door and he runs a corner heartbeat with adrenaline and your parents get manipulated and sensing a flat to believe that person's okay. Exactly the same adverse effect. A child can feel it. A parent can't. They get manipulated on reverse psychology. So they listen to the voice of mind that tells them otherwise. So they get manipulated and sensing is flat and a child runs a corner. Well, when I died and flatlined, I walked around like a zombie for a week. I was shit scared, man. Because I started to see these shadows, man, after I died. I saw them everywhere. And when I went up talking to people and they were sitting right over the top of people, I didn't know how to respond to people, right? They didn't know, and I knew that. I knew they couldn't see what I could see. So I had very short conversation with them and said, yeah, okay, mate. All right, I'll see you later. Right? And I was spun out. That's why I felt really weird. I thought, man, who's all these shadows around here? I started to see this as the minute I died. So I walked around completely different, right? And I started to see things around me. I started to see the spirits that was hanging around people, right? And controlling people. That's what I started to see. And it freaked me the fuck out, man. It freaked me the fuck out. Okay, but then I got used to it. After about a week, I got used to it, right? I started to avoid it. And then slowly it disappeared when I started to avoid it. So we avoid things so we can't see them. We're trapped in our minds so we can't see these things and the influence on people's reality. But guess what? You learn. You learn how people behave and the grammar they use. That's what you learn about life. You learn about people control in such a way that they're trapped in their mind and personality. Right? They're only personality and they listen to the voice of mind. And it's the grammar they use. It's the egotism. It's a self-centered behavior. It's judgmental, competitive behavior. Right? It's argue, debate, conquer, divide. It's people in negative fields. They live in it so much because the voice of mind tells them to do that. So that's why Jimmy Cruz said that the voice of mind told me some extinction. Your mind plays tricks and games and you and yours become your worst enemy. Your mind plays tricks and games and you and yours become your worst enemy. I never think within my mind. I think outside mine. I think instinctively. As I say in the documentary, The Matrix, think instinctively, and no weapon formed against you can prosper. I can promise you that. Right? I can promise you that. But when you're trapped in your mind with the IQ and consciousness, you suffer all the consequences. And you're jealous, weak spineless, weak cowards, weak, sensitive, not emotional. You live in your own truth. You manifest your own truth. You live in some sort of comfort zone. And then you think you know better than anyone with a high IQ, but you don't. You do not know what you do in your mind, in mental event and mental process and illusion, imagination in your consciousness. That's not aware of what's happening in the outside influence, in the real reality that controls your biological system and your biofields. When you don't use your biofields in the most positive fields, from the sixth sense upwards in all 27 senses, your biofields, then you do not know what you do. Then you're trapped in your mind and your consciousness, in a mental event and mental process and illusion, imagination with a high IQ that only makes you good at what you do, but in fact not intelligent. I had a car accident, okay, even after this event. I was hit by a drunk driver at the age of 20, okay, like 3 months before I turned 21. Well, on July the 10th, 1981, I got hit by a drunk driver at over 100 miles an hour. The guys in the car were splattered, the most horrific accident you've ever seen in your life. I was parked, stationary. I took off like lightning. When I got hit by this car at 100 miles an hour, jammed the speedo. It was completely demolished, both cars. Right, totally demolished. But I was so stoned on drugs, being a junkie. So stoned on drugs, trying to get off drugs. Couldn't get off drugs. When I got hit by this car, I launched faster than a rail with 10,000 horsepower. Boom. Right? But I was relaxed because I was smashed off my head. So I didn't get tense. And tense causes 7 times more body effect. 7 times more damage, as the doctor said. But because I was on drugs, I was so relaxed, I flopped in the car and boom, right? Went through an event I can't explain. Now, I was okay. I had a sore back, but I didn't even know. I had pins and needles all over my body. I walked home that night because they released you the paramedics right at the road accident back in 1981. That's what they did. So I went home, and you know what? I was never home. I was a junkie. I'd be home once a week. You know what I did? I went home, sat in my bedroom with pins and needles all over my body from head to toe. There's no other way to explain this. I had more pins and needles than any drug I ever took. And it's like I was high as a kite without any drugs. And I was so high, man, with pins and needles from head to toe. I was so high, I was completely numb. Totally numb from head to toe. Totally numb. And I felt most high, just like a death experience. Exactly the same adverse effect. And I was in death experience. I was in a zombie. I was in a comatization. Believe me, I was comatized for 3.5 weeks like this. I went home and sat in my bedroom and didn't move. My car was towed home. My mum looked at the car and looked at me in the bedroom, and she came in every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, and said, "You okay, son?" She treated me like a baby was hurt. And I was totally numb. The whole ceiling in my bedroom was painted black with stars and moons, like space, and I was staring into space like this all day. Numb, totally numb, totally out of my mind. So high you got no idea, right? And I never took drugs ever again. I couldn't get off drugs. The doctors couldn't even help me. And if I got off drugs being a raging junkie, if I got off like this, you'll get sick and you might even die. Never touched drugs ever again. Never had one side effect, not even remotely close. It saved my life. Now, I was so numb that my mum took me to the doctor 3.5 weeks later. They did an x-ray, right? I was that numb. They're trying to find out why I was so numb. Then they found out my spinal cord was pinched. 4 pillars had dropped out. They said they didn't even know how I could walk. They didn't even know how I could walk. But I walked straight out of the hospital. Never got crippled. Nothing, never. They told me I'd been in a wheelchair by the time I was 30. Never. That's the most powerful miracle you could have imagined. I got off drugs, changed my whole way of life, and I could walk out of this situation with pins and needles, most high. And you know, it wasn't by coincidence. It wasn't by chance. It was by faith. It saved my life. And that's a powerful miracle. Watch my pages on Street Wisdom Bible page on Facebook and the Witness page. Follow my videos. Come to part 6.